You are here with us on Mums at the Table. I've got Shona with me. I'm Rachel, and we've also got Colette, our psychologist, coming up today, as well as Chia and the kids in the kitchen cooking up a wonderful storm. I love it. But I want to ask you the question, what is it that makes you happy? Now, that's a big question, and it's a general question, so we'll get a bit more specific with it. But what is it about parenting and being a parent that makes you happy?
If you'd asked me when the kids were little, I don't know that I would have been able to come up with an answer to that, because I think you're so, as you've said before on the program, so deep in the trenches.
Yeah, and it's so challenging.
That it's quite hard to get your head above the waterline and actually see what's making you happy. But in hindsight, you know, it's the things like cooking in the kitchen with the kids and actually coming out with something that was edible.
Oh, see, that makes me really unhappy. Isn't that interesting? What makes, you know, someone else really happy? Like those things. I couldn't think of anything worse than cooking in the kitchen with my kids. It drove me nuts. Like, that was not a happy place.
But see, that's something that Gary's family do as a family thing. Yeah. So for me to be able to carry that tradition on with my boys, and now they've left home, they can cook for themselves.
And I bet they loved it. I bet you that's a memory they actually look back and love.
And they did it with the aunties as well. So they, you know, once you've taught them that fundamental thing, whatever it is that makes you happy, they can do it with other people, which makes them happy. And, you know, I can look back on it now and see that my boys can actually cook enough to be able to go out and live on their own and fend for themselves and not have to keep coming home and going, what's for dinner?
No, I love it. Like, you bring it back to the practical that you've taught your boys, but it is something that made you happy.
Yeah, it did, and does.
Yeah. Oh, look, for me, it's always going to be, and you are dead set right in that, those early stages, you've got to look for the little bits to be grateful for. If you've got challenging parents, you know, if it's so exhausting, you do have to look for it. Some parents sort of breathe through and have all happy moments, and that's lovely. Good for them.
Good, yeah.
But it is those family times, and that's where I look for the pockets of family time where we can just be together, whether it's having a meal together or, you know, going away camping together, being together, because I love those people the most, and being with them brings me a lot of peace. So whenever I feel peace and no conflict, that's when I'm at my happiest.
Another really good time for me, which made me happy, was when bedtimes. I loved prayer and reading stories to the kids and just seeing how they just grew and enveloped into that.
And you sort of get those really raw moments with your kids at bedtime, don't you? And they're really special. When they're really young, you just like putting them to bed, though, don't you? Saying good night. But other than that, like, the things that I think really do make me happy are when the kids have gone to bed and I can stay up and have the mint cookie dough ice cream.
Hey, thanks for keeping it locked right here, Mums at the Table. Colette and I are going to be talking about something that might hit home with a lot of footy mums and soccer mums and dads out there. Being a sore loser, nobody likes being a sore loser, but how can we lose with grace?
And that's the big question, I think, particularly for parents of children. We need to, absolutely. And I think we need to remember that our children are still kids and they're going to be disappointed and they're going to be upset. And it's all about teaching them how to lose gracefully. And it's not going to happen overnight. For some of our kids, it could take years. The problem is, for some of our parents, it could take years. I'm kind of pretty enthusiastic. I'm one of those soccer mums who yells and gets very enthusiastic from the sidelines. And it's great to be invested in your children's activities and sport. But I think sometimes we can get so invested that it becomes about us, potentially. But also, there's a lot of things our children can learn, and even when they lose. And I think, I don't know, is it something to be said about how we view failure? Do we feel like even as adults, you know, if we fail, there's something wrong with me or I'm inadequate? We think failure is always a bad thing. And it's not always a bad thing.
Well, what are the good things in losing?
And so, look, again, no child's going to jump for joy when they lose. My children don't jump for joy when they lose because they're normal kids. But I think it's really honing in on the things like team sports, playing with your team, finding things that your team did well in. Asking your children, did you notice what Johnny or Susie did well in during the game? Focusing on our children's personal bests even within the game. What did you improve on in that game?
It's so hard when they lose and it's just stuck in their brain that, you know, I could have scored that try or I should have, you know, tackled that person or whatever the situation might be. So how, as parents, can we help our kids, you know, overcome that it's okay, you might have lost, but it's not the end of the world. It might be the end of the season, but it's not the end of the world.
And I think often a beautiful saying that I heard was, after your children have played, say something to them like, I love watching you play, rather than, I'm sorry you didn't score that, or I'm so glad your team won. Talk about what you enjoyed about being with them. But then also giving them some space. I think not bombarding them or peppering them with questions as you get in the car. Let them be quiet. Let there be silence for a while. Talk about the character building opportunities later. It's all right to give them some time to just process.
I love that you said that, because I think that's a lesson to self.
Yes.
You know, you don't need to hammer them straight away with the lessons that you've learned. Give them time to process and to take it in, what's just happened.
Absolutely.
But I think you touched on an important part, which was about the participation.
Yeah.
It's so important that as parents we talk about more focus on that participation. You got in there, you gave it a go. And that's the good Aussie spirit, I think, is giving it a go.
And they get to build friends and they get to build social skills. There's a lot of other things they're learning in sport besides just, am I winning?
Yeah, that's so important. Thank you so much, Colette, for that. And I hope that's helped you as parents, whether you're a Team A mum or a footy mum. Just, it's okay to lose. Every now and then, it's okay to lose.
Okay, now, for most of you, you may not have ever done this. Pulled a sickie when you weren't sick.
We're in Australia. Just pointing that out.
Okay. But what do you do when your kids come to you and they don't want to go to school? They're either pretending to be sick or just on the verge of being sick. What do you do?
Oh, look, as a working parent, it's a lot more challenging than when I was at home with the kids. So I'm working a lot more now. But when I was home with them, the first thing you do is whack the hand on the forehead. Got to tell you, my kids have been so sick, I can really get it down within, 0.1, 0.2 of their temperature, which is a sad skill to have. But yeah, if they're feeling off and my kids don't take a lot of days off school. They don't ask for a lot of days off. So when they do, my ears prick up and I'm like, okay, let's find out what this is. But I'm actually inclined to go, yeah, let's have a day at home.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, but it doesn't happen. Like if it happened, every second week, every term, that would be a different story. So it's not, a habitual thing they're doing.
Yeah. Mine, they had to be either bleeding, have a broken limb.
Their arm has to be cut off.
Yep. Or, at death's door pretty much before I wouldn't send them to school.
So, but is that because you were a working mum or is that because you're like, nup, toughen up, get to school?
Both. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Because I was working and we didn't have a lot of your village around us to look after the kids. But also, for me, school was important. It's building them up, setting them up for a working life.
Yep.
And I don't want my kids to think, oh, I'm just, I'm a bit under the weather, so I can't go to school, which would then lead them into the thought, well, can't do that going to work.
Yeah, and look, and as I said, you don't just all of a sudden blanket say, sure, have a day off school. You got to investigate. Like if there's a reason they don't want to go to school and it's not an illness, that's something you want to talk about with them. And I've had a daughter who didn't want to go to school. It was social and emotional reasons. We had the day off. We chatted about it.
So a mental health day.
Yeah, if you want to call it, you call it whatever you want,
Yeah.
We went shopping, we did some stuff together and, we haven't had a problem since, but I want to create the environment that, yes, you can talk to me. Yes, this is an option, but if it becomes habitual, we've got other things we've got to look into. So I'm open to it.
Okay. Well, if you want to reach out to us on our social media and tell us how you deal with your kids not wanting to go to school, be it with they, pulling a fast one or not, just reach out to us and let us know on our social media page.
Hi everyone.
We're making jam.
We are making jam. I love the way you say it. It's so cute. We're making homemade jam. It tastes good and it doesn't have all that sugar in it, hopefully like the ones in the shop. It is a very simple recipe. It just calls, I use any frozen fruit. I think strawberries really make it the best. So do you want to put the frozen fruit? We're going to put it in a pan. And you are going to cook the frozen fruit until it softens up and starts to break up. And then I use a spoon just to mash it up. Now we've made some to show you and we put it in the fridge. And so this is what it looks like when it's set. And we're going to show you how to get to this spot, okay? So, and it's fun for the kids because they get to see where their food comes from. I find that when you buy food from the supermarket, like so you buy jam already made, the kids don't really appreciate it as much. They're like, yeah, I love jam, but actually seeing how their food is made, I just find kids really just enjoy food better. They'll be more likely to eat it because they've made it. So these are just things, little tips that I've used in my home. It starts to thicken up. As you can see, it's starting to thicken up as well, and it's softer, so you're able to mush it. You can actually use like a potato masher as well. Okay, we're done. So here we have it. I've just been mashing the strawberries. Okay, and Moses is going to add some. What are you going to add there? What's in that? Lemon juice. Lemon juice. Just inside there. Can you try and get it in there? No, that was a bit scary, was it for you? Yeah, I'll just put it in there. That's all right. It's just lemon juice. It'll dry. So add the lemon juice, and then I add some maple syrup. Now, depending on how sweet you want it, it's you can add 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon. It depends on how sweet your strawberries are. I just like to use a little bit to sweeten it up. And then after you've put that in and mixed it through, then I put the chia seeds. Now, this is what's going to give it like a really thick gel type of consistency. So I put the chia seeds in there, and then I let it cook for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes after I put the chia seeds in there. And then you're done, and you're ready to put it in a jar. As the time goes, you'll see it'll start to thicken up more and more with the chia seeds. Look at that. And now we're going to leave that. I'm going to turn the heat off because it doesn't need it anymore. And I'm going to actually show you what it looks like when it's finished. And here we have, what's this?
Jam.
Jam. Jam. This is our jam. I made this yesterday. And I'm going to show you, actually, you know what my son loves? He loves peanut butter and jam. There are kids that have peanut allergies, but when you're at home, it's okay. I know you can't take it to school, but I love having a whole peanut butter, 100%, the crunchy especially, 100%, nothing else in it, and some jam on top. Can I have that spoon? Thank you. So this is what the jam looks like. Look at that. Delicious. Homemade jam for your kids and your whole family. Put it in a seal jar in the fridge. Now, this is just one of many recipes we have for you guys. So if you guys, Moses, stop climbing up there. So if you guys want any more recipes, please go to our website. It's mumsathetable.com. And you'll find our recipe page there. You'll find all different recipes homemade for your family. Go check it out. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Well, thanks for being with us today. Thanks, Shona.
You're welcome.
Always a pleasure.
I know.
Never a chore. We would love to hear from you, so please jump onto our social media, our Facebook. Let us know. And don't forget, we actually have a private Mums at the Table Facebook group. We'd love you to join. It's an amazing village there, so supportive, and you can ask any question you want. We will catch you next time. Bye.